Welcome again to my channel. Before we begin today, I want to offer a gentle note. This story touches on childhood sexual abuse. Nothing graphic, but it may feel tender or triggering for some of us. So please take care of yourself and pause if you need to, or just exit so you're not triggered. Now I'm sharing this from a place of healing, not hurt. I've done a lot of work, a lot of therapy, a lot of acceptance. And for me, telling it is just part of letting it go. I have accepted and I have moved on. I'll remind you, on this channel, I share life through the lens of transition, because many of the moments that shape us don't look dramatic, but they change us quietly. This was one of those moments. Welcome. So when I was 8 years old, someone crossed a boundary they never should have. At that age, I didn't even have language for what happened. I just knew something felt wrong. And like many children, stayed quiet. Not because I was okay, but because I didn't know how to explain what I didn't understand. Really, what do you expect of an 8-year-old? What I didn't realize then is that when children don't have words, they store that story in their body. It shows up later as hyper-independence, or people-pleasing, or trying very, very hard to be good. For years, I thought that was just my personality. Now I've understood it was survival. But here's the part I really want you to hear. I'm not sharing this from a place of pain anymore. I assure you, I have healed, I've forgiven myself and whoever was responsible, and I have done the work. The work is hard, the work is long, the work is painful, but I've sat with it and I've made it through, and I'm on the other side, that this is just part of what happened to me, and this is not me. And today I share it very gently, because speaking it out loud takes its power away, like I have learned over and over again. Now, if you're a parent or an aunt or an uncle or someone raising children, please hear this with love. Check in with your kids. Create a home where nothing is too small or too embarrassing to talk about. Say things like, "You can tell me anything, you know that. You're never in trouble for telling the truth." Because sometimes one safe conversation is the difference between silence and safety. Children don't need perfect parents. They really need safe parents. I want to tell you, from the time that happened and going through therapy, I've understood a few things and a lot of things at the same time. When you internalize things, they have a way of coming out in different ways. And most of the time, your response or your reaction is usually directed at someone else, completely unrelated to whatever trauma you have. The way you view the world becomes skewed. I was very, very suspicious of everyone for a very long time. Everything just seemed to me like a trigger. And I can tell you, it was one of the big reasons that I chose to be a lawyer. I felt that I needed to protect children, particularly children like me. Nobody knew. Okay? So even as after I was admitted into the bar in Kenya, I went to volunteer at Cradle, an organization serving children in Kenya. as a pro bono advocate. And taking on those cases was me looking at another child as me needing protection and providing it for them even when they couldn't speak. Many times it brought back those memories, particularly when there was representation and the stories about what was happening came out. I was fighting back tears because it felt like I was reliving the same trauma every single time. You would wonder why I even went to do that, right? You'd wonder, why would you choose this type of volunteer work, and yet you know how triggering it is? But for some reason I had a passion for it because it felt very personal for me. And I remember sometimes that anger came towards maybe the parents of the victims, who sometimes would not want to go a certain way. I don't know. And it felt really, I felt angry that I am here trying to support you, to support your child, but you're thinking about how the society is going to look at you as a single parent, or you're thinking about how your community, doesn't want you to talk about this or that and that. And I got triggered many times, and I would lash out at these parents who, I told you to file this, I told you to share this story, I told you. And looking back, I was like, my God, this anger should not have been directed to those people. Of course, sometimes they needed some straightening, like their heads needed to be in the right place so they could support this child. But sometimes it just wasn't called for. And I want you also to probably look back. Is there something that triggers you? And I learned something in therapy that sometimes is so unconscious that how you react and how you see the world is from your own lens, because we are all products of our environments. We are all products of our experience. We are products. And are you holding on to things that are coming out in different ways, in different things? Now, I also talk about this because maybe some of us need to let go of certain things. Maybe some of us need to work on certain things, like actual work. I will not tell you that it's easy work. I will tell you it's hard work and it's painful work. But what I will also tell you is that on the other side lives freedom. On the other side lives happiness. On the other side lives relief, like a deep breath, like, finally a burden I've been carrying is lifted off my shoulders. So think through it. Is there something you're carrying that you need to let go, so that your worldview becomes different? You don't look at the world through the lens of pain, but through the lens of healing, through the lens of happiness, through the lens of joy, through the lens of I'm okay. Because that determines a lot, including your nervous system, how it operates, including how you relate to yourself and your children if you have to, and your workmates, and many other things, including your boyfriend, your husband. It does affect a lot of things. I remember that. I will tell you a little bit further down as we go into the series. So I'll remind you one more time. If you're carrying something from your childhood, I want you to know you're not broken. You adapted, you survived, and healing is very possible. Okay, I am healed. And I'm also here if you want to ask me any questions, tips, frameworks, whatever it is. I'm happy, very happy to share. Now, I also share this today because there's a transition that happened after an innocence and how a child sees the world is taken away. They are not the same person. You become the victim of that circumstance, and you embody the victimhood, and you embody the guilt, you embody everything and more, depending on who is around you, depending on how you see the world, depending on, you know, what's going on in your life. And so I know I transitioned into someone. I might not have wanted it, but I did. So please acknowledge that there was a transition there. And there was no support, and that led into me behaving in those ways that then were survival modes or adaptive modes. Was that good? Probably not. But if you know someone that needs it, it's better to tell them or to support them through the process, because they have transitioned or they are transitioning and they need to adapt into this new one with the right tools. Enough about that for today. Tomorrow I move into a little bit of some fun areas. Well, maybe not fun, but some transitioning into teenage years. A different kind of transition for sure. If this story resonated with you, subscribe and come back tomorrow, because I'm telling this journey in order, one chapter, one series at a time, and the next piece might be the one you need most. See you in the next one.